What is going on,
Powered
everybody?
by
This is your
Riverside
friendly
F-
neighborhood coach, and you are here for your next installment of the Locker Room. Listen, we gonna talk a few things tonight. All right, we gonna talk about the Cleveland Browns. They're going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is Shedeur Sanders' first start as a quarterback. We gonna break some things down. We're gonna talk Carson Schlesinger. Is this dude Defensive Rookie of the Year? Does he have a shot? We'll talk Myles Garrett. He has an opportunity to break the all-time sack record left by Michael Strahan. Can he do it? We'll talk a little Cavaliers. They played the Indiana Pacers last night for the NBA Cup. In the NBA Cup, Darius Garland returns. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll get into the Ohio State Buckeyes. All right, they just finished beating Rutgers, and we're going to get into that because it is what? It's the week for that team up north. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to break that down just a little bit. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Locker Room. Yeah, let's do this. It is the next episode and next installment of the Locker Room. I am your friendly neighborhood coach. I'm Cleveland born, Cleveland bred. I'm going to be one to the Lord. Take me away from here. We always talk Cleveland sports on here. I am a proud member, 1/3 of 3, the Hard Way Sports Podcast. You can check us out on YouTube at 3 the Hard Way Sports Podcast. My man L Train and the captain Terrence Alston. All right. This is what we do. We talk Cleveland sports, but this is the Locker Room. This is where Coach Young speaks a little bit about it on his platform. And I got a few things that's on my mind this week. I got a message for all my Shedeur Sanders apologists who running around here always want to be butt tickled just because somebody say something contradictory to what people think Shedeur Sanders should be doing. Listen, I'm first team all common sense. I'm 100% always fair. I'm going to be fair across the board. And because I'm not going to get into that much, see, I'm getting ready to get started. So let me not do that. Let's talk about the Browns and the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Browns play the Raiders tomorrow in Las Vegas. It is Shedeur Sanders' first start at quarterback. He came on last week against the Baltimore Ravens and didn't look well. I'm gonna sit on that. He didn't look well. Now, like I said, I got people came across DMs, people came across the sports podcast, being apologists. Listen, I understand that he was throwing the garbage cans and trainers and things of that nature. I get that, but he's a backup quarterback. Okay, you have to, you get put in that situation. Hey, listen, I know a lot of backup quarterbacks who went in that situation, performed, who went in that situation who didn't. It doesn't make him less of a quarterback. Now he has an entire week to get himself prepared. He had an entire week to get himself prepared for the Raiders. I have nothing but encouragement for this kid. I want him to be successful. You want to know why? I want him to be successful because I understand the backlash. I understand the haterisms that's taking place when it comes to this young man, and I want to see him be successful. The other reason I want to see Shedeur be successful because if Shedeur is successful and we have a franchise quarterback, we have 2 first-round picks in the draft next year. Those 2 first-round picks can go to either wide receiver or offensive lineman. We don't have to waste a first-round pick on a quarterback if we already have it, okay? So I want to see him be successful. But just because I want to see him be successful does not mean that I'm not going to be critical of it. I'm going to be critical when I need to be critical. Okay? And like I always say on 3 the Hard Way, you may not like what I'm saying, but you will listen. Man, if y'all looked at our comments, I'll let y'all know. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all are listening. Y'all just ain't listening to everything. Y'all listening to what y'all want to hear, but I digress. So he gets his first opportunity to go at the starting quarterback position. Also, the Raiders defense is not really good. This is actually a perfect opportunity for him. I'm tired of Dillon Gabriel, tired of seeing Dillon Gabriel. I know Kevin Stefanski tried his best to get Dillon Gabriel out of concussion protocol. He tried, but he can't beat the NFL. He can try to dupe everybody else, but he can't beat the NFL because I saw a report, oh yeah, he was on the field. So what? Nobody cares. I don't want to see him anymore. These last games, I want to see Shedeur Sanders. And so does everybody else. We've had our fill of Dylan Gabriel. We've had our fill of Check Down Charlie. We've had our fill of the leaping leprechaun. Well, I'm done with that. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't have time for that anymore. I don't want to see it, okay? I want to see Shedeur, all right? And my thing is this, if you're saying that he's not prepared, okay, now the proof is in the pudding because now he's been behind the first team offensive line all week. He's been able to throw to receivers, Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. He's been able to throw at them all week, okay? He's got Quinshon Judkins in the backfield. He's got the first team offense, okay? So now Shedeur is going to have to go out, and now he's going to have to prove. He's going to have to show and prove, okay? And so if Shedeur does that, which I truly believe that he will, I'm not saying Shedeur going to go out there and throw for 300 yards. Be nice, but I don't think he's going to do that, not in this Tommy Rees offense. Now, will he take opportunities downfield? He sure will because he's Shedeur Sanders, okay? Like I said, the Raiders are not really good, so this is actually a good litmus test starting with a team that's not very good, okay? And I root for the young man, and I'm hopeful that Shedeur takes this opportunity by the bull by the horns and he rides this thing. That's what I want to see because like I said again, if Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2026, 2027, we have an opportunity to rebuild this team through the draft. We already have a good rookie class, okay? But we can continue to build upon it, all right? We need to get wide receivers and we need offensive linemen. Joe Patonio is going to retire after this year. Ethan Posich is old. He's gotten older in the tooth. Okay, so is Wyatt Teller. All right, Jack Conklin couldn't stay healthy 2 years ago, but we signed him to a contract extension. No, okay? And then we don't know what the deal is, with DeJuan Jones. He can't stay healthy, Big Thanos, he can't stay healthy. So, and then I heard a report in the news, I don't know if it's true or not, I have to check my sources, is that the Browns could easily touch base with Jedrick Wills again over the free agency. I don't know if I want the Browns to do that. I don't know. I understand they need offensive linemen, but Jedrick Wills was so disinterested in terms of playing for the Browns. I wouldn't do it. That's just me. So yeah, Shedeur, gets his first start. What are your expectations? Those who see this broadcast, go ahead and, when you put it in the chat, what are your expectations for Shedeur? What do you see him doing against the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow? Do you see him excelling? Do you see him having the same type of look that he had against the Baltimore Ravens? Because I believe in that second series, Shedeur actually started to get his rhythm. The ball that he threw to Chase Larvidan in the corner was a perfect ball. It was just good coverage. The one that he hit Harold Fannin across the middle, it was a nice shot. Okay, so he started to get his feet wet, and he talked about it at his press conference after the game. That after the first series, he started to see things started to slow down. Okay. If you go back to that press conference that he made some comments that make me believe that he is and should be the starting quarterback, okay, at this point, all right? Regardless of what Stefanski thinks or whoever is in the organization that does not want Shedeur to be that quarterback, I believe that he will be, okay? Carson Schlesinger, man. Carson Schlesinger is an absolute dog, okay? He has an opportunity, and I believe odds have shown that he's in the lead for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Carson Schlesinger has been averaging about 10 tackles a game. He is all over the place as a rookie. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect that from Carson Schlesinger. Hadn't seen that in him. I didn't watch a lot of UCLA, so I wasn't like enamored, or educated about him. But watching him come on the field and getting that green dot from Coach Schwartz And watching what Carson Schlesinger does, oh man, I think this guy is going to be an all-pro as long as he stays healthy for his entire career. I think they found a diamond in the rough. I think he's an absolute stud. And so he does have an opportunity to become defensive rookie of the year, as does Myles Garrett has an opportunity to become defensive player of the year. Now, let's keep it a buck, everybody. What Myles Garrett is doing is historic. In the last 2 games, he's gotten 8 sacks in 2 games. Historic. However, I know how this game can be. The Browns are 2-8. I don't know if the league is ready to give a defensive player of the year to a guy whose team has only won 2 games. I don't know if the league is ready for that. Now, I am. Well, yeah, I'm a Browns fan, but I'm also a football fan. One thing about Myles Garrett is he is a disruptor. Now, I'm not talking about leadership. Now, I've been honest on 3 the Hard Way sports podcast, and I've said before that I don't look at Myles Garrett as a leader. I never have, okay? Should he be? Absolutely. If you're the highest paid guy in the building, you should be a leader. But I don't look at Myles Garrett as that vocal leader. But as a player, that guy's an absolute train wreck. He wrecks offensive schemes quickly. I've watched Myles Garrett be double teamed, be chipped, be triple teamed, and he still makes plays. Okay, I've seen Myles Garrett, and I don't know why Jim Schwartz doesn't do this. Couple years ago, Jim Schwartz used to move him around, which made him even more dangerous because you didn't know. I remember, I think it was a game against the Titans where they had a double tight end just to block Myles Garrett, and Myles kept going back and forth, which caused the tight ends to have to shift because that was their assignment, and then timeout was called. I would like to see Jim Schwartz move him around a little bit more. I would like to see him move because you got 2 quality defensive ends on the other side in terms of Isaiah McGuire. So I would love to see Myles Garrett move from side to side. There's times I've seen him where he was even in a 3 technique. Myles Garrett could be a Hall of Fame 3 technique, okay, at 275. And I think the biggest thing with Myles Garrett is he just has his bend for his size, and his first step off the ball is just phenomenal. It's hard to stop, okay? Now, what are teams going to begin to do? They're going to run away from him. Teams legitimately are going to run away from him. Do you think that the NFL wants Myles Garrett? They want Myles Garrett to break the Michael Strahan's record on a 2-8 team. They would love for TJ Watt to do it. You know what I'm saying? They would love for defensive ends like that and that ilk to do it. But Myles Garrett is going to do it because he's a generational talent. Okay. For me, I just don't want the Cleveland Browns to waste a Hall of Fame career just like they did Joe Thomas. They wasted a Hall of Fame career. And I don't want them to do it with Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett is a game changer. Okay. And with the guys inside now, Shelby Harris and Mason Graham, Mike Hall, with those guys inside, and then, you got your DNs on the other. Listen, it's hard to. Myles Garrett has created sacks for other guys because teams have been so worried about stopping him. Teams have been so concerned about stopping Myles Garrett. And so I truly believe if Myles Garrett continues on this pace, he will beat Strahan's record, which I think is 22 sacks or 22 and a half. I really don't count that last one, the record breaker. I'm sorry. I can't. I mean, I'm not as bitter as Mark Gastineau when he approached Brett Favre. Go look at that. Look that up on YouTube. He acted like he wanted to fight him. But Brett Favre laid down on that one. So honestly, I don't count that one. He didn't even try to get away. But I think Myles has a shot at it. Do I think he'll do it? It's going to be a Herculean effort for him to do it. He's got enough games to do it, but it's going to be a Herculean effort for him to do it. And I don't think teams just not gonna lay down and let him have it. But I think he has the ability to earn it. He has the ability to get it done. Okay. Hey, check this out. I'm gonna say this again. If you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, I don't know what y'all waiting on. Y'all need to go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever. I've always said I'm all about the smoke. I say how I feel and I feel what I say. And so sometimes people ain't gonna like what I say. And that's okay. All right. When I'm talking Cleveland sports, because I understand Cleveland fandom. You know what I mean? Um, I understand the fans of Cleveland. I understand the frustrations. I've been a Browns, Guardians / Indians. I've been a Cavalier fan for a very long time, and I understand their fandom. I get it, you know. But since being out here in Arizona, where I reside, uh, I've become a realist, and I watch things. And one thing I've said on Three the Hard Way, I've watched, you know, the Cleveland fan be complacent to mediocrity, and that's one thing that I'm not anymore. I want my teams to win it all. I don't want. I'm tired of talking about Philadelphia and Boston and L.A. I'm tired of talking about all that. You know, so I really, I love my teams, but I'm gonna stay on them because I want them to be great. You know what I mean? And so, speaking of greatness, let's get into the NBA Cup. All right, the Cleveland Cavaliers played the Indiana Pacers last night. Watch that game; it was a pretty good game. For the Emirates NBA Cup. It's a tournament that the NBA puts on. Let me say this, and this is a little bit of a rant. The NBA Cup to me is absolutely nonsensical. I don't see the reasoning for it. You want to bring in more fans, so you feel like if you color the floor and it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, that's what the playoffs are all about. That's what the NBA finals are all about. Okay. And here's the thing. I haven't seen it. I could be wrong. Well, I probably am. I'm not gonna make that statement. I think I can correct myself. But most teams that win the NBA Cup is not gonna win the NBA Finals. Most teams. Most teams that win the NBA Cup is not gonna win the NBA Finals. And it's like I watch it and it's the same type of basketball to me. It is nothing like Kenny Atkinson last night, because the Toronto Raptors are in their group. I guess they have different groups. The Toronto Raptors lead that group, and they go by point differential. So, of course, the Toronto Raptors are playing the Washington Wizards. Washington is awful. And I mean, the Cavs played them too and beat them by like 30. But like in the fourth quarter, you normally in the NBA Cup, you want to get that point differential up. So you play your starters all 4 quarters. Where if team gonna win, then you sit your guys down, let them rest, get ready for the next game. Well, that's what Kenny Atkinson did. Kenny Atkinson in the fourth quarter, with a couple minutes left in the game, sat his starters down. And the commentators on the broadcast were surprised that Kenny Atkinson did that. I'm not, because Kenny don't care. Kenny don't care about an NBA Cup. He could care less. He wants to win an NBA championship, and he understands that his guys are more injury prone than anything. And that's why I'm saying I don't understand the NBA Emirates Cup. It doesn't make sense to me. All it does is lead teams with players to possibly get injured because you're leaving them in all 4 quarters. Okay, so the Toronto Raptors win the NBA Cup. Let's say Toronto wins. Toronto's not going to win the Eastern Conference. They're not. They're not going to win the Eastern Conference. Okay, they aren't. All right. Neither is Detroit. Now, here's the difference, though. Detroit's a good team. I'm not saying they're going to win the Eastern Conference, but they're going to be in the mix. JB Bickerstaff has done a wonderful job with that team. I love JB. When JB was in Cleveland, I loved JB. I think the biggest thing with JB is JB wouldn't play these young guys like Kenny is playing. Okay. But JB has taken that Piston identity and he's turned it. Cade Cunningham is an all-star. Okay. He's taken that team and he's made them into kind of a sort of smaller version of the bad boys Pistons because they'll lock you up. They'll get into you. Okay. But I don't see them winning. And that's why I'm like the Emirates NBA Cup means nothing to me. Okay. I watch basketball because I love basketball. But if you ask me, does the NBA Emirates Cup tournament excite me? No, it doesn't. I watched Denver and Houston last night for a little bit. Very entertaining game. Jokic, awesome. KD, easy money sniper, same dude. Did it matter that it was the NBA Cup? No, it was just a good game. I could care less. Now, for the players, I get it. There's a lot of money on the line if you win the NBA Cup. A lot of money on the line. I get that. But as a fan watching from the outside, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Just like the right now, the way the NBA All-Star weekend, and I'll get into that another time. I'm not going to talk about that now. So there's my rant. There y'all go. So Cavs beat Indiana. They were down. Of course, Tyrese Halliburton is still recovering from his Achilles tendon injury from the finals. Don't know if he'll be back anytime soon. But Indiana was scrappy. They were scrappy last night, and Darius Garland returned. I think Darius Garland had 18. He looked like he wasn't in the second half. He looked like he was winded, which is natural. He came off of this toe injury. He had a contusion on the toe. He sat out 5 more games. Your wind is not there. So I'm not gonna beat Darius Garland down. But you see, which I have to retract a statement I made, I think in the previous broadcast, as I said, the Cavs should not look that bad just because Darius Garland is not there. I completely take that statement back. Darius Garland is the spoon that stirs the drink. He is. And you can see it. Donovan didn't have any on-ball responsibility for the entire game. Darius puts Evan Mobley in positions to be successful. Jared Allen sat down yesterday, so Evan Mobley had to play the 5. He went for like 22 and 11. Okay, it is so apparent to me that Evan Mobley should be playing the 5, and you can bring Jared Allen off the bench. I believe that if you really want to see Evan Mobley ascend, Evan Mobley is a 5. He's not a 4. And so he showed up last night. Like I said, I think it was like 22 and 11, 5 assists, and a couple of blocks. That's Evan Mobley, but it's not Evan Mobley at the 4. It's Evan Mobley at the 5, okay? And so DeAndre Hunter was a little bit off. Jalen Tyson did return. This young second-year pro is really putting his foot on the gas and causing Kenny Atkinson there's a conundrum, as Brad Doherty says. There will be a conundrum because what do you do when Max Strus is healthy and comes back? What do you do when Sam Merrill comes back and is healthy? Do you cut Jalen Tyson's minutes? He went for like 16 points. I think he was perfect from the field. What do you do? What can you do? Okay. Jalen Tyson is earning his way. Craig Porter Jr. to me is legitimately, you got 2 solid guards. You got Lonzo Ball, who played well yesterday, even though he didn't score a point. That's not Lonzo Ball's game. And you got Craig Porter Jr. I think you got 2 legitimate backup point guards in case Darius goes down again. Okay. Like I said, DeAndre Hunter was a little bit off last night. That's to be expected. He'll be fine. Donovan Mitchell was Donovan Mitchell. Okay. Donovan Mitchell was Donovan Mitchell last night. And so I see the Cavs, when the Cavs get healthy, things are going to round itself, and you're going to see, because you got to figure right now, Kenny Atkinson is, and I've said this before, Kenny Atkinson is practicing during the regular season. I know y'all probably find that strange to believe, but that's what he's doing. He's playing with a lot of different lineups during the regular season, in the beginning of the season, because he's trying to see what these guys can do. That's why Naquan Tomlin has just jumped to the forefront, because he knows he can trust Naquan, because Naquan is going to bring him some energy. Naquan can't shoot for nothing, but he's going to bring him some energy. He's going to bring him some grittiness. And against Houston, he brought him some toughness. I saw the little minor scuffle and altercation. He didn't back down. That's a New York kid. That's a Brooklyn kid. Okay. So, that's what you want to see. is you want guys out there that when these teams think that they can bully you, you gonna stand right back up and say, "Nah, it ain't happening." Naquan Tomlin did that, and I appreciate that. I needed to see that because my big men don't do that. The last time I saw Jared Allen get upset was in Detroit when he slung, I think it was Thompson down. So overall, right now, I see the Cavaliers winning probably about 55 games because right now they're 10-6, I believe, 10-6, 11-6, somewhere in there. And right now, Kenny's playing with lineups. Okay. The next game, I believe, is tomorrow against the Clippers. I did see a report that Kawhi Leonard will be able to go. Clippers are not very good, even though they have a great coach in Ty Lue. Shout out to Ty Lue. They're not really good. So we'll see. Hopefully, everybody will be another day healthy. Jared Allen will be back. Sam Merrill should be back. Right now we just waiting on Max Strus. Max Strus probably won't be back until December. Okay. But I do think the Cavs will win about 55 games. Solid 55. I don't think they care about many, I think they would love to win the Eastern Conference again, and I think that's what they'll shoot for. I think 55-60 will win it. Not impressed with New York. I think Toronto is smoke and mirrors. Haven't heard anything about Orlando. Washington is terrible. Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey is that dude. Love Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid, is constantly getting hurt, and for whatever reason, Joel Embiid cannot figure out that the reason that he's getting hurt is because he's fat. Okay. That to me is the issue with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is about 285. But I think he's close to 3 bills. I could be wrong, but I think if you want the best of Joel Embiid, I think 260, 270 is probably best for him. Because even when he was in college, he was having injury issues. But you got to lighten him up. Same thing like they did to Zion, even though I know Zion had an injury not too far back. But the Cavaliers will get it together. I think I think Kenny Atkinson is the mad scientist. I think he's sitting back and he's putting things together. Okay, they're different lineups. You can't scout these different lineups that he's throwing out. But I think eventually, as everybody gets healthy and I'll say this, you will see the Cavaliers hit their stride after the All-Star break. That's February. They're going to stay around third, fourth in the Eastern Conference till about February. Then after the All-Star break, the Cavs are going to make a run. They're going to make a run. And you'll see the Cavaliers win the Eastern Conference in the second half of the season. They realize they can't win it now. You can't win the Eastern Conference right now. And they understood their mistake from last season. They was blowing teams out, just boat racing teams. They got to the playoffs and they got injured and flamed out. So I believe Kenny's going to do something different this time. Kenny going to slow walk them. Pay attention. Anybody who understands about basketball will understand Kenny Atkinson is slow walking. He ain't running to the finish line. He going to slow walk this thing. He's going to get everybody healthy because he realizes, and so does Kobe Altman, realizes that this team is deep. This team is at least 15 deep when it comes to rotation. Now, of course, in the playoffs, Kenny's only going to go 10 deep, but he's going to play everybody now because he wants them to get that experience. Tyrese Proctor playing now. Naquan Tomlin is playing now. Craig Porter Jr. right now. Jalen Tyson right now. Those are your developmental guys. You know what I'm saying? Luke Travers. You getting these guys out on the floor now to get them some experience. So when it gets to be around playoff time, when it gets to be around tourney time, these guys are ready. So Kenny's playing this smart. Kenny's playing this smart. So Cavs fans, chillax, calm down. I'm one of them where I'm like, they stink. They stink. No, they're in the laboratory. They're putting together a formula that's going to get them to the NBA Finals. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the Eastern Conference, even though they focus on the Eastern Conference. I want to see the Cavaliers against teams from the West. because they got to match up with them. Okay. They lost to Houston the other night. All right. That was a litmus test. Okay. Can the Cavs beat Houston if they full power? I believe they can, even with KD. Şengün's playing a good game. Okay. But I think the Cavaliers, I think they're just deeper. Can they beat the Lakers? Yes. Even with Luka, even with LeBron, they can beat the Lakers. Can they beat Oklahoma City? That's the question. Okay. Because right now, SGA is he's on a tear. Okay. They don't even have their full complement of players, but Oklahoma City is still winning. But Kenny's playing chess. Kenny Atkinson is playing chess, y'all. He ain't playing checkers. Because what OKC is doing is they running ragged right now. Kenny slow walking. Kenny is slow walking. And he's gonna have these guys prepared and he's gonna have these guys ready for playoff time. Okay. So Cavs fans, chillax. Everybody calm down, drink your favorite beverage. Just be cool and just watch. Because I see, and I'm gonna call him the mad scientist. I see what Kenny Atkinson is doing. The mad scientist is in the laboratory and he's piecing together a Frankenstein that's gonna show up after the All-Star break. Okay. All right, let's get into the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Ohio State Buckeyes. They beat Rutgers today 42-9. Okay. I watched that game in its entirety. And I'm gonna say this. It sounds strange saying this when you have a team that won 42-9. And so they struggle. Watching the Buckeyes, they struggle. Now, of course, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate were not available for this game. I think it's Carnell Tate's third game out. And so don't get me wrong, Julian Sain still played pretty decently, but they struggled offensively. Because other than Brandon Ennis, there's not any other receiver that really stepped up. Max Clare, the tight end, I think he had close to 100 yards in catches, and Bo Jackson went over 100 yards. I think what Ryan Day is doing is the same thing that Kenny Atkinson is doing. I think if Jeremiah Smith had to play today, he could have. I think if Carnell Tate had to play today, he could have. I think what he is doing is getting himself prepared for that team up north, because next week is Michigan week. It is. And this is, Ryan Day understands the significance of playing this team up north. He is 0-4. He has lost the last 4. I get everybody saying he won a national championship. Yeah, great. I'm an old school purist. Okay. I grew up in this Ohio State Michigan rivalry. Okay. And, I have an older brother who is a Michigan fan, and I had to grow up with that. Okay. In our household, it was this. There's no moral victories. I don't care if you were old and whatever. You had to beat the team up north. And the same thing for the team up north. They had to beat the Buckeyes. So this game next week, and it is in Ann Arbor, okay? Ryan Day is trying to prepare himself because he knows he's going to have to go to war. Because Michigan ain't no slouch. I think they're ranked 18th in the country. They're no slouch now. And when they play the Buckeyes, they come up and they get up for that game, okay? So I'm honestly looking forward to it. I know for a fact that if the Buckeyes can win this game, they will be in the Big Ten championship and they will see Indiana. That's going to be a 2-game stretch that I would love to see. I would love to see that because Indiana's been winning, but I think if they saw the Buckeyes, I don't think Indiana's as good as they, portray themselves. But I could be wrong because I'm a Buckeyes fan. But we can't look past that team up north. We can't look past the Wolverines. We can't. We don't have the ability to look past the Wolverines. We have to focus. I want to see Julian Sain. I want to see Carnell Tate, and I want to see Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare, Bo Jackson. I want to see these guys next week. I'm going to be intrigued. I think defensively, this will be the toughest test for the Buckeyes defense because that boy Underwood there with the Wolverines, he ain't no joke, all right? He's learning, and I think that young man is going to be a problem for the next 3 years because I don't think he's going to make it 4 years. I think he'll be in the NFL in the next 2, okay? They got a pretty good running back as well. And like I said, the Wolverines get themselves up there, and they're going to be in Ann Arbor. Buckeyes have a tough time beating the Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Okay. So it's going to be a tough test, but this is a test that the Buckeyes need. This is a test that the Buckeyes have to have. Okay. All right. So I'm looking forward to it. I will break this down further, probably on Three the Hard Way. We'll get into some stats and break some things down. I may bring a Wolverine fan on, and we can have a conversation about this game. Like I said, I'm all Ohio State Buckeyes. Do you as a Buckeye fan get nervous when they play the Wolverines? Anybody who says they don't is just delusional, because the Wolverines play, it's a rivalry. It's one of the greatest rivalries in college football. How do you not get up for that? You have to. Okay. Now, my gut right now, the way I sit here, and I'm not making big predictions, but my gut says Ohio State wins, because I don't see the Wolverines having anything to deal with Carnell Tate and or Jeremiah Smith. I just don't. I think Brian Hartline, because he's a Buckeye alum, because he understands the significance of this rivalry, because he played in it, I think he will have a game plan where it'll be really, really tough for the Wolverines to cover Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, and Brandon Ennis with Max Clear. I think that's going to be, I won't say it's impossible, but I think it's going to be tough. And then moving the football, I think initially the Wolverines can move the football on the Buckeyes, but then I think Matt Patricia is going to lock it down. Matt Patricia is on a different level right now, okay? Matt Patricia is playing NFL-style defense in college. And the reason he's doing that is because he has the horses to do it. And, he's got an All-American back there, in Caleb Downs. He's got an All-American standing back there who's going to be in the NFL. So, I heard the commentators today, Joel Klatt and, Johnson, talk about him in the same vein as Ed Reed. And here's the crazy part. That's not an off-the-cuff comparison, because I see that in Caleb Downs. Because Ed Reed was a monster. Like, he was a monster in the pros, but Ed Reed was an absolute monster in college, okay? Back then, he was Edward Reed. But I see that in Caleb Downs, okay? So Matt Patricia is running a pro-style defense in college football, and teams are having trouble figuring it out because he's blitzing from different angles at different times with different people, okay? He's got the personnel to really, really do it. So next Saturday, I might be on later. I might not be on at all, because it depends on this game. Because I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna be watching this, because it's gonna shut it's gonna shut it down. All right. So looking forward to that. One more last time, y'all. If y'all have not subscribed to the Locker Room, please, please, please subscribe to the Locker Room. I'm trying to build this following up in here, talking Cleveland sports, but I will talk other sports as well. If you have not commented or subscribed to the Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast, I urge you, I dare you, I double dog dare you to go ahead on YouTube, hit Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. Go ahead and like, tap, subscribe. Come on there, comment. Go ahead and look at some old footage that we have. We are building up strong momentum. And I just enjoy being with my brothers, being with my fellas, and just talking Cleveland sports and just talking sports in general. All right. So once again, the Locker Room, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. All right. And Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. I don't know what's I'm talking faster than I'm thinking. All right. All right. Oh, now it's time for the Coach's Corner. Now, let me preface this by saying I have coached 3 different sports for over 30 years in high school, y'all. Okay. Just recently retired doing it. And so that's why I do sports talk now, because I have the ability to do so. And I've seen a lot of things in sports. And I've won some games, and I've lost games. I've developed young men and women to go play college. and be exceptional at that point. And the only reason that I'm giving y'all this is because sometimes people need to know. Sometimes people gotta hear the credentials, before you start speaking. But the coach's corner is where I can vent a little bit and speak my piece. So in the coach's corner today, I want to talk to the Shador Sanders apologists because y'all are out here. Okay. Let me preface my comments by saying this. I want to see this young man be so successful. I want to see Shador rip it up. And I am a person who I'm a realist. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say that I want to see Shador be successful. Because I do. But some of y'all out here are absolutely ridiculous. Whether you say something positive, the Shador haters come out. Whether you say something remotely negative, the Shador apologists come out. Now, I looked at some comments on our show, Three the Hard Way, and I had some people put some comments on there that absolutely, it didn't infuriate me, but it made me feel sad because some people are oblivious to constructive criticism. Some people don't really listen in its entirety. There were people who came on in our comments basically telling us we don't know what we're talking about. Shador is, why would he do this and why would he do that? And I'm going to get into all that. And it's like, when it comes to the Shador apologists, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Okay. I made a comment saying that he's still dealing with some of the problems he was dealing with in preseason. And two of the things that he deals with in preseason is, one, he drops back too deep. Two, he holds the ball too long. And three, when he has an opportunity to step up in the pocket, he doesn't. I had people come on there and try to just come at me and the fellas. Well, why would he step up in the pocket? That y'all trying to get him killed. Listen, y'all, if you don't really know football, then don't say nothing. It's okay. Keep your fandom. That's all right. But when Coach Young talks football, I'm talking from an avenue that I know because I've been around some really smart people. I'm not taking credit for that. I've been coached up by some really intelligent people, not only in high school football, but in college football and in the pros. So when I make my assessment, I'm making it based off of football knowledge. And I don't feel the need to have to come on here and defend myself because I say what I say. If y'all don't like what I say, thank y'all for listening and subscribing. But it is what it is. Shador Sanders still has a problem in the fact that he holds the ball too long. Number two, he does not step up in the pocket when the pocket is clean. And number three, he rolls out when he doesn't really have to. And I broke it down on the Three the Hard Way a while back, but let me help some of y'all. When offensive tackles are told to run defensive ends upfield so they can create a pocket for the quarterback to step up in. Now, I'm not saying every time it happened against the Baltimore Ravens because Jerome Ford should be sued for negligence because he couldn't block Kyle Hamilton for nothing. But not every time Shador stepped back, the pocket was unclean, okay? When you look at the throw he threw to Harold Fannin across the middle, the pocket was clean. When you look at the throw that he threw to Larvidan in the end zone, the pocket was clean. So not every time that Shador dropped back, the pocket was unclean. That's what I'm saying. My Sanders apologists, calm y'all happy behinds down because you need to understand football from the X's and O's standpoint, not from the fandom. I love Shador. I love Shador at Colorado. I loved him at Jackson State. I want to see him be successful. I know that there was collusion that took place. I can say this is my platform. There was collusion. That's why that young man dropped to the 5th round. The NFL was trying to prove a point. Then you got media members out here who's still trying to dog the young man because he's got a personality. Stop it. But y'all Shador apologists, y'all need to calm down as well. Because as soon as something is said on the negative side of Shador, here y'all come. Well, he was throwing at, team managers and trash cans. Okay, we understand that. But does that mean you still can't get in the film room? Does that mean that you still don't sit down and look and see what your issues are with the team? to see that you drop back too deep, that you're doing the stuff at Jackson State, and that you did at Colorado, you doing it now in the pros. Myles Garrett told you in the preseason game against the Panthers. He asked, he said, hey, Myles, could I get you with that spin move? Myles Garrett looked at him and said, no. And what was Myles Garrett telling him? Don't do that. You can't do that in the pros. You do that in college, but you can't do that in the pros. Instead of taking a 2-yard loss, you're taking a 14-yard loss. It's football, people. It's not personal. Some of y'all should do apologists. Take everything that somebody says, contrary to what you think, you take it as a personal shot. It's not a personal shot at the kid. I want the kid to be successful. And how can that kid be successful? You have to tell him what his faults are. You have to tell him where he doesn't measure up and where he needs to continue to work. And yes, I know he's throwing the managers in trash cans. But listen, you get in the film room, and I know that's what he's doing. You the first guy in there, you the last guy, you the last guy out. If guys are not helping you in that quarterback room, your father is an all-time legend. You mean to tell me you can't pick up the phone and call Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's not going to help you? You mean to tell me that you can't pick up a phone and talk to Troy Aikman, and Troy Aikman's not going to help you? You mean to tell me you can't pick up a phone and call Steve Young, and Steve Young can't help you? Joe Flacco did it. And I'm not indicting the young man. I'm saying Shedeur Sanders has more resources than any other quarterback in the NFL. If the Cleveland Browns are being negligent, which they are, okay, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. So what's the water? The water is use the resources that you have, young man. And listen, I'm not saying that that's not what he's doing. Okay. What I'm saying is some of y'all Shedeur Sanders apologists need to pay attention, watch the game from the X's and O's standpoint. You got to put your fandom in your pocket when you're making observations. And that's what I do. I put my fandom in my pocket because I know that kid has some flaws and I want to see him fix them. It's not an indictment on him. That's why I said some of y'all apologists, boy, everything, it don't need an apology. It's just something that he has to work on. But some of y'all get in DMs and some of y'all are ridiculous. Like, seriously, ridiculous. Because you ain't paying attention. You're not listening all the way through. You poking holes trying to find something negative that somebody said about Shedeur so that y'all can come out of the woodwork. Oh, well, yeah, you ain't really paying attention. Shedeur did that. Shut up. Like, for real. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Gonna be one until I'm not here anymore. But I want to see that young man be successful. That's why I'm calling out his flaws. I said for a fact, if Shedeur Sanders is still having the same flaws that he had in preseason, listen to me closely. I'll say this slowly for some of y'all who don't get it. If Shedeur Sanders is doing the same stuff that he did during the preseason, he's not being properly coached. I hope y'all heard me when I say that. He has not been properly coached. Now, for those that's saying, okay, he's not getting first team reps, let me stop this because everybody that I've listened to this week, really smart people that I've listened to, they have said that backup quarterbacks don't get first team reps. They may get a couple reps with the first team, then the rest of the reps is with second team. It's like I used to tell some of the high school kids that I coach, there's a lot of knowledge out here that will be given to you, but there's a lot of knowledge that you got to go get. Shedeur's got to go get it. But y'all need to stop, okay? Stop going after people who are critical of him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of Tony Grossi. Tony Grossi has gone after Shedeur all year, okay? I'm one of those individuals. I don't like what Rex Ryan is saying. Rex Ryan sounds goofy. He sounds like a hater. That's what Rex Ryan sounds like, period, okay? However, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Shedeur is an engaging kid. You can't help but like the kid. You want to see the kid be successful. I want to see him be successful. But because I want to see him be successful is why I will call out fundamental flaws that he has in his game. Because I want him to be successful. It's not me being overly critical of him. It's for me, from a coach's standpoint, seeing what I'm seeing. His offensive coordinator or his quarterback coach in Colorado was Pat Shurmur. What more did I know? Pat Shurmur done forgot more football than I'll ever know. So will primetime. You're talking about the greatest corner, possibly the greatest football player in NFL history. This man had played against the killers behind the center. So you mean to tell me that he ain't talking to Shedeur? Yeah, he is. Shedor's got all these resources. He's got to use them. But you people, make it hard to root for this kid. Because every time somebody says something critical about him, here y'all come. It's called constructive criticism, y'all. Some folks do that. As a coach, I definitely do that. Constructive criticism, okay? So that's my rant. Y'all Shedeur apologists need to just chillax and just watch Shedeur be great, okay? Because I believe he will be, okay? And if y'all take anything that I just said out of context, then shame on you, okay? All right, y'all, that is my time, man. I am your friendly neighborhood coach. This has been The Locker Room. I've enjoyed being on here with y'all. I try to come on here every Saturday at 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Okay, I don't know what time that is in y'all area. You'll figure that out. You can do that. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. If you want to, come join me on 3 the Hard Way. You will see our sports podcast. We're generally on Monday. We record on Sunday and then we publish on Monday. So come join me, the captain, and L Train on 3 the Hard Way. In the meanwhile, like I said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Love on somebody. Tell somebody you love them. Don't always assume that they know.